to Nevertheless, a show dedicated to organic leaders and leaderpreneurs. Today, you will discover how to discern your essence and live powerful.
Hi, welcome to Nevertheless. This is episode 2 of 2017. My name is Bidemi Mark-Mordi, and I'm the anchor of this show. People ask me, this week someone asked me again, I haven't heard that question in a long time, but someone asked me this week what the show Nevertheless is about, and I thought to just intimate you again about what the show is about. Nevertheless is a show for organic leaders and leaderpreneurs. Question then is, who is an organic leader? An organic leader is that person who takes his leadership responsibility and assignment from his core. He uses the things that he can distill from his core as a person as the catalyst for his leadership assignment. A leaderpreneur is the same, it's just an expansion of that. A leaderpreneur is the person who leads, or who is a leadership entrepreneur. His or her entrepreneurship is around leadership. So I say that this show is for organic leaders, people who want to live life and their responsibility from their core, and it's for leaderpreneurs, people who take this core and distill it into a product or a service that others are willing to pay for. So welcome to the show. This is our second episode in 2017, and today I want to talk about my truth, your truth, and the truth. My truth, your truth, and the truth. Last week we looked at when your heart would stop singing, and our focus last week was on the fact that there are things that have captivated our heart for years, and no matter what happens, we can't seem to let go of them. We're constantly trying to answer this call or run away from this call. But the thing is that our heart is constantly singing that song. And I gave the example of some of the things I have had to face, and how when your heart would stop singing, ultimately the only antidote is for you to respond and dance to the rhythm of the song that your heart sings. Even if you're the only one that can hear the song, the only way you know peace when your heart will not stop singing is when you respond to the rhythm of that song. So what do I mean by your truth, or my truth, your truth, and the truth? Please don't go away. When I come back, I'll share with you the details of that. Hi, I'm Bidemi Mark-Mordi. Many years ago, someone told me, Bidemi, you have a purpose here on earth. And this was at a time when my life was hovering on the verge of breaking because I was constantly and persistently depressed. That statement sent me on a journey to discover who I really am. I discovered that I'm a helper of destinies. What are you good for? Have you ever wondered what separates successful people from average and mediocre people? The one thing I have discovered is purpose. That is why after years of fear and living under depression and depressive thoughts, I chose purpose, and today I live powerful. You want to live powerful too? Then join me on Purpose University, a home for you who want a life beyond the ordinary. To be the best you is what we're about. Welcome. This ride will change your life.
In a world filled with many fears and discouragements, life often becomes a burden. For those who know the way, life's just simple. Don't worry, you're not alone on this life's journey, as Bidemi shares powerful insights and principles from her everyday work and life experiences in her book, Nevertheless. Nevertheless is a book designed to encourage and equip you to face life with courage, hope, and determination. Get a copy of Nevertheless from a bookstore near you or call 234-813-360-2883 or send an email to bidemi@bidemimark-mordi.com to place your order now. I guarantee you will make it nevertheless.
Welcome back. It's still the Nevertheless show. My name is Bidemi Mark-Mordi. Please share this show to your friends, to your family members who are trying to lead from their core, or who have businesses that are distilled out of their DNA. This show is exactly what they need to be able to continue to run in the thing that God has called them to run. So today we're looking at my truth, your truth, and the truth. What's the difference between my truth, your truth, and the truth? I was in a conversation with someone and it was a bit of an argument back and forth, and she kept saying to me, but that's my truth. And because I wasn't listening properly, I thought she was saying that's the truth. And usually when someone says that's the truth, for instance, and you are saying that's not the truth, we're not even most of the time we're not exactly looking at truth as in absolute. We're looking at facts as regards the case. So this person kept saying that's my truth, and I kept saying that's not the truth. And eventually, it looked like she was getting a lot more irritated by my pushback of saying that's not the truth. So ultimately, something whispered to me, and I believe it's the Holy Spirit, that said to me, Bidemi, listen to her again. So I listened a little bit more, and I realized that she wasn't saying that was the truth. She was saying that's my truth. And on hearing that is my truth, for the first time really allowing it to sink into me, I started to realize that as human beings, we have different versions of the truth. So even though our relationship had evolved and things had happened, she was holding on to her perspective and her interpretation based on her experiences and all the other things that surrounded her peculiarly to distill a truth of the situation that we both were involved in. So when she said that was my truth, she wasn't exactly trying to say to me that I was lying. She was just saying that this is how I see it. So what does your truth, my truth, and the truth have to do with living a life of purpose? You see, when we are called to live a life of purpose, if you've been following this show, you will know that I talk a lot about the fact that each one of us can only be as wealthy as our gifts that we develop into skills, products, and services. So, unfortunately or fortunately, no one of us has an exclusive gift. The gift of words is the gift that I have, but I know a whole lot of other people who have the exact same gift. The only difference is why we have the same gift, why we can do this talking or use words as just as good as one another. The difference is that what we choose or how we choose to use words differ. Now, what that means is I am using words to drive what is dearest to my heart and my life, and that is purpose. Living a life of purpose, helping other people discover and distill their purpose, helping them embrace, discover their essence, embrace their superpower, helping others live a life that is powerful. That is what I decided to use my words to do. But you see, you need to know my story to be able to understand why, of all the things I could do with words, this is where I chose to anchor. And when you get to know my story, understand it, and realize why this is what I am focusing my gift on, that day that you come to that realization of why all that it is that I'm talking about is purpose, I'm here to deliver a life of purpose. I'm here to help you discover your purpose. Everything about my life, it doesn't matter from what angle is coming, is is geared towards a purposeful life or purposeful living. That day that you discover that about me, that is the day that you understand and you know my truth. So when we're talking about my truth, your truth, the truth, I'm saying that there is a truth that is peculiar to me and there is a truth that is peculiar to you. And both my truth and your truth are parts of the truth, which is the absolute truth as God has ordained it to be. So for instance, someone has, 5 people have the gift of a fantastic singing voice. One person decides to take that voice and do only radio jingles with it. Because that person has thought about it and has said, look, you know what? I don't want to go through the stress, or I don't have the time, or whatever, of having to go through looking for songwriters if I can't write a song, going through all the work in the studio to produce music. I'm not exactly interested in producing music, but I do recognize that I have a great voice. And if I deploy it with advertising agencies, I could be that voiceover person for their radio jingles. I get paid and I'm fine. I don't have to go do the extra hard work of having to market a CD or my musical album or my music album when I do get to release it. So that person, based on their peculiarity, how much they want to earn from this, the fact that a fame and popularity, having their name, on the album does not matter to them or something, have decided to go the route of radio jingles. But then there is another person who says, I must absolutely release an album. As a matter of fact, that is what I'm going to do my entire life. I will release song after song, album after album, which means I'm ready to go through the hurdle of having to look for backup singers, having to look for producers, having to book studios. I'm ready to go through all of that hard work, as long as in the end, I have an album that has my name on it. So this person, based on whatever it is that, life is thrown at them, what they've experienced, what they know, they have confidence in themselves and all of that, has decided that they will do musical albums only. Another person decides that, okay, I will do music, but I will do only gospel music. And then another person decides that, okay, I will do music, I will do gospel music, but I will do gospel rock. Now, while all of them have the same gift, the gift of a good voice, while all of them are doing some form of music or the other, when it comes to the ultimate manifestation and expression of that gift, what you will find is that they are different. And it is that truth, my truth, your truth, in relation to the truth, that forms and forges the signature with which we sign our life epistles. So you cannot decide that because you have the gift of words, such as I have, you must do exactly what I'm doing with my gift of words. There are things you need to take a look at if you would use your truth to be able to manifest what is comfortable, easy, and most fulfilling for you to do. So, what are these things? For you to be able to own your truth properly, you need to take into cognizance, first and foremost, your background, your family, your environmental background. All of these things come together to form and forge who you are. When we're talking about your family, we're talking peculiarly about your DNA. Who are your parents? All of those things that cannot be seen with the physical eye. All of those things that, you can't, are intangibles actually, but they come together to mold you to become the person that you are. Those things have a great part to play in forging your peculiar truth. So you cannot begin to talk about your truth without thinking about where you are from, who are your parents. When my dad died last year and we were putting together the funeral brochure and we were doing the tributes, I did my tribute, and one of the things that I realized, in putting together that tribute was that I did not become a person to whom integrity is important because I became a Christian. Integrity is important to me as a person because my father lived a life of integrity. From when I was very little, I saw my father manage projects for his siblings. I saw my father manage projects for his in-laws. There were so many people that would commit finances into my father's hands to manage projects for them. And how I knew that my father, was accountable and he transacted with integrity was each project had an exercise book. He had, and it will be boldly written on it, this person's building project, this person's borehole project. And all of that, when when my father died and we started to look through his things, we saw sheets and sheets and sheets of papers where he kept, very meticulous records of monies that were given to him, how he disbursed them, and what was left, what he retired. It was very straightforward. So it was from a lifetime of seeing my father able to account for the resources that were committed into his hands, that without him saying to me, I can't remember my father sitting me down to give me a lecture on integrity. The lectures were my mother's forte. But just by seeing the way he lived his life, I have grown up to become the adult to whom integrity is extremely important. As a matter of fact, integrity forms one of the three words that are my value words that I believe that at the end of my life, I would be described as. So you see that my background, my family, how I grew up, who I grew up with, had influenced my version of the truth. Now, something else that, plays a very key role in a distilling of your truth is your experiences. The things that you experience in life. Very early, I think I was 16 when death stared me in the face for the first time close to home. My younger sister died in my arms as my mother was on what we thought was her deathbed at that time. And that kind of shifted my perspective about life. I knew at that age of my life, or that stage of my life, that nobody lived forever, one, and that death had nothing to do with age. Automatically, because my sister was about 8 or 9 when she died. She was 8 years old, I remember, when she died. And there was my mom my sister had gone to school that day. They called us to come and pick her from school because she was throwing up. And then she died. And there was my mom, who was a whole lot older, who had been sick for a very long time. At the end of the day, rise from her sick bed. And yet my younger sister passed. So immediately I went through that experience. As young as I was, I realized that death was no respecter of persons. And that also puts in me, a zeal to want to express myself and live my life to the fullest, because I had no idea. It dawned on me that death does not give notice. It comes when it wants to come. That experience had gone on to shape my life. Last month, late last year, like I mentioned earlier, my father also passed. And one thing that experience brought to the fore for me personally is that no one lives forever. So even when you think you've cheated death a number of times, a day still comes when you die. But not to say that all my experiences are around death. I've also had other experiences that have come together to form the life that I live today, and to distill the level of truth that I have. The third thing that, absolutely colors your version of the truth are your gifts, your talents, and your truth. And your skills, rather. Your gifts, your talents, and your skills. Depending on what your gift is or what your talent is, when you want to distill your life or you want to own a truth, there is a coloration that it brings into the equation of your life. So for instance, my gift is words. I have been, in my younger days, I was what you would call a talkative. I talked. I just had to see, and I was very, very observant. So I saw and I spoke. There was a courage and a boldness that I had to be able to speak my mind until I got into maybe my teens. And I was told that you didn't, if you were young, you didn't speak that much, that it's not everything you see that you say. And I started to quieten down. And all of that today have come to the place that I still speak my mind. I still express myself in the way that I believe, my values would, my values dictate for me to express myself. But I'm no longer exactly talkative. I have now distilled that to mean that I should cultivate as much as is possible the skill of listening more than I'm speaking. So you find out that my gift to be able to string words together. And when you begin to talk about gifts, it even impacted on the activities that I enjoyed, because words were my gift. One of the activities I absolutely enjoy for all of my life, I have enjoyed and I believe will continue to enjoy, is reading. Anything that had to do with words, I was there. So books were a natural habitat for me. The third thing that, impacts upon your version of the truth is your personality type. I'm a high D personality. What that means is I'm a doer. If you go to the Team Live personality types, I am what you call choleric melancholic. What that means is that I am very hyper. I am the doer. I want to do things. I'm constantly dreaming. I'm constantly executing. But I'm also melancholic in that I could be very moody. I have mood swings back and forth and stuff like that. But that's my personality. And all of this mean that I am very sensitive. I only need to walk into a room, and even when people don't speak, if something is wrong, if there is a tension, I can sense it the moment I walk into the room. And once I walk into that kind of situation, my melancholic side makes me recoil into my shell. But my prominent or predominant personality trait is actually choleric. And being a choleric, I don't wait for people. I don't have the patience. Somehow, I'm not patient enough to allow people catch up. I'm constantly on the go. And if you're around me for a number of months or years, and it seems like you're not able to run at my pace, I am likely to drop you and pick someone else that may be able to run at my pace. So you find that colors my truth, and because of that, there are things that my husband, for instance, is able to endure that I'm not able to endure. My husband's prominent personality type is he's phlegmatic. He is actually a more relaxed person. He is very deep, but he's very relaxed. He's not hyper. My husband is the one that wants to take a nap before he gets something that, I want to wake up. If I've made up my mind to get something done, I have to do it first before I rest. My husband believes in rest in between. And that used to really irritates me, because I'm in our early years of marriage, I'm do it first before you rest. But he's I'll pace myself. Don't worry, I will get it done. I'm committed to it. It will be done. I don't need to run at breaking speed just because I want to get it done. So you find that when we sit together and we're working on a project together, I'm always the first to jump, except I don't believe in the project. But that's because of my personality trait and style. So automatically, when we're doing stuff together, my version of the truth is slightly different from his version of the truth. My version of the truth always, when it comes to my personality type, screams urgency. The fourth thing or the fifth thing that, colors your truth is your personal interests. Your personal interests. There are so many things I'm not interested in. There are very few things I'm interested in. One of the things I'm not interested in is socializing. And so I am not the natural networker. It's a chore for me to network. I am a very deep relational person. So I don't believe in just showing up somewhere and in the name of networking begin to share things that in my mind are personal to me. So you find that my personality trait has flown into my personal interests and the way that I get my things done. If that is the person I am, when I'm dealing with things, I have done a business for years, and one of the weakest link in that business that I know of is marketing, because I don't believe in amplifying or advertising. I just think that if you do it, and I know it's not right, I'm not saying it's right, I'm just saying that, I'm not saying it's the highest truth, I'm just saying that this is my truth. I just believe that if you do it well enough, the work would speak for itself. What I know my truth is not taken into consideration, and I know you will be quick to tell me, is that I'm doing it excellently does not negate the fact that I have competition. And so I need to speak up to say I'm here if I will get it done. I recognize it, I understand it. But my personality, my truth is that I would rather not do it. And so one of the things I've been asking God to give me is someone who would not find it a chore to push me. But I've also found these people, and when they try to push me, I push back. I remember last year, I think it was in October, I traveled, and my brother who runs my Instagram handle was went into my profile setting and enabled location, which meant that I was in the US, and I started to realize that when I posted something, a lot more people around the Dallas, Texas area were liking my post. So I was wondering what happened. Then ultimately it dawned on me that, Bidemi is in the Dallas area, and I freaked out. I had to send him a message, and I said, you need to change that profile. I don't like to advertise where I'm at. Now, there's nothing wrong with the people who, when they go to the loo, their Facebook status says they're in the loo. I don't say that there's anything wrong with it. I just say that it's not my truth. So somehow it makes me uncomfortable. It doesn't make the person whose Facebook status says he just checked into the toilet a bad person. Neither does it make me, who wants to keep part of my life private, a bad person. It just means that I have my truth and they have their truth. The final thing, well, not exhaustive, but for this post, that is indicative or that colors your version of the truth, are the opportunities that you come in contact with. The opportunities that you get to experience have a way of determining your truth for you. So if early in your life you were exposed to, for instance, entrepreneurship, the tendency is you would, if you take into consideration all the other things that I've talked about, you probably lean more to entrepreneurship than anything else. I wasn't exposed, for instance, to financial intelligence growing up. My father was meticulous. He was frugal in his spending. My father was not a spendthrift. I don't remember him ever sitting me down and teaching me how to plan financially. So naturally, when I started to earn, I blew through my money like smoke initially, until I took a lot of hard knocks before I have now started. Only very recently did I start to learn financial intelligence. So you find out that the opportunities that come around you, if whatever you are exposed to early, also colors your truth. Now, if you ask me, are there any examples in the Bible of people who live their truth? Yes. My example for today's show would come from the book of Ruth, and I'm going to be talking about Ruth and Orpah. Ruth and Orpah were sisters-in-law, as it were. They were married to brothers. They were both married to Naomi and Elimelech's sons. And they got married, and within a short period of time, they both lost their husbands. Another thing that they had in common was that they were both from Moab. So you would think that they would react to what life had given to them the exact same way. But because they were not, even if they were blood sisters, because their experiences differed in other ways, because their gifts, their talents, their skills probably differed in other ways, because their personality types differed in other ways, because their background, their family, their environment, they may have come from Moab. One may have been from the high streets of Moab, the other one may have been from the suburbs. I don't know, but I'm just saying that there was something that clearly was different about Ruth and Orpah, that even though they had the same exposure in the Elimelech household, they reacted differently to their issue. What was the issue? After their husbands died, Naomi, their mother-in-law, said, you guys ladies go back to your families because I'm going back to mine. Orpah initially made to go with Ruth, with Naomi, but Naomi insisted and said, I want you ladies to go back. I don't have someone to marry you if you follow me back to Israel. You will just come and suffer. I don't want you to live life at this level. And because of that, Orpah kissed Naomi, kissed Ruth, and went back. But Ruth decided that she was not going to go back. She was going to go with Naomi, and she made that historical statement in Ruth chapter 1 verse 17. Your people will be my people, your God my God. Where you live is where I live. Where you die is where I will die and be buried also. Almost same experiences in the latter part of their lives between Orpah and Ruth. But their reaction and their choices ultimately, which will now be translated into their truth in manifesting, was different. What am I trying to say to you today? I'm telling you that the mere fact that you are gifted the exact same way as the person seated next to you, the mere fact that you work in the same office, the mere fact that you attend the same church, even the fact that you were born on the same day in the same hospital, does not in any way mean that your manifestation will be the same. So you cannot run this race of I'm running, the race of destiny. I'm embracing my superpower and I'm running with it and expect that you will manifest like every other person. For some people, fame is important in what they do. So they will go all out to set the stage for fame. For some other of us, impact is more important. So we really don't care whether someone knows about what we're doing or not, as long as we are satisfied deep inside of us that we're making impact. Friends, or my friend, there is your truth and there is my truth. What is important in your truth and my truth is that my truth must align with the truth, which is the absolute, that which God has ordained. And your truth must align or must be subjected or submitted to the truth, which is God's absolute for your life. As long as you are able to submit your truth to the truth, which is God's absolute for your life, and I'm able to submit my truth to the truth, which is God's absolute for my own life, I promise you, you are a success and I'm a success. So the Bible says it like this: the race is not of the swift. So it's not of him that willeth, it's not of him that runneth. Your truth will manifest differently from my truth. It doesn't make you better than I am, and it certainly doesn't make me better than you are. As long as you are true to what it is that you've been called to do, as long as you do your best within the version of your truth, you will be fine. Now, please don't send me a message saying I'm trying to say that there are different versions of the truth. That's not, I'm not encouraging you to color the truth and lie. I'm just saying that there are things in our lives that determine the perspective and the manifestation that we become. So be comfortable in your skin, own your truth, submit it to the truth, which is the absolute, and run. Soar like the eagle that you are. And don't look back. Because it's not about the person that is flying beside you. It's about you in conjunction with your maker. Till next week when I'll come your way again. If you want to be able to talk to me, you can send me a message on my Facebook page. It's Bidemi Mark-Mordi. Or you can leave a comment on my website, bidemi-mark-mordi.com. You can follow me on Twitter, is at Bidemi Mark-Mordi. You can send me a message on Instagram. I'm on most of these social media platforms, just so that you can reach me, whichever works for you. Feel free to send me a message, and you will be sure that I will respond to you. Remember again, it's not about the other person. Every one of us has a superpower. And if you embrace your own and be comfortable with your superpower, then you will live a powerful life. You are loved and appreciated. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Nevertheless. For more information and resources, call 0813-360-2883 or send an email to bidemi@bidemimarkmordi.com. Don't forget that when you discover your purpose, you will live powerful.